Hello, welcome to the Human Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Dahl. Our first episode here is Who Are You Unencumbered? I am so glad that you guys joined me today. This episode is going to be a little intensive. It's going to be a little heavy, but the real work is actually going to take place after the episode as you complete the activities that I've set for you. There are show notes available that you can download from the YouTube channel, or you can also reach out to me at hello@thehumanblueprintpodcast.com, and I'm happy to share with you that. You guys wait, there's going to be a workbook coming that you can actually order that has all the activities in every episode that will let you work through these activities to actually transform your life and to help you think a little bit more deeply about the things that we're talking about. So today's episode is about who are you unencumbered? And so for those of you that don't use big words, I'll tell you unencumbered means something's holding you back. What is holding you back, weighing you down? So I want to know, who are you when there's nothing holding you back? So let's talk about the kind of things that do hold us back. A lot of times the things that hold us back are fear. We're afraid of taking a leap of faith. We're afraid of betting on ourselves. We're afraid of taking action because it might mess up the status quo. It might mess up what's happening in our household. It might mess up my relationship. It might alter my career, which could impact my finances. But there's a lot of fear based on inaction. The other thing is judgment. We worry so much about other people's judgment of us. We worry about their thoughts. Even myself, in producing this podcast, I started to question, what will people say? What will people think? They'll think I failed at real estate, or they'll think I couldn't hack it in real estate. After 25 years, I could tell you, I definitely could hack it in real estate. I need a break from real estate. And this is something that was weighing heavy on my heart that I wanted to bring to y'all. But I will tell you that worrying about what other people are going to think about this podcast might cause me to never take it to the market, to never produce it, so that you didn't get to hear the benefit of these topics. The other part is the judgment. Sometimes it's not from others. Sometimes it's from ourselves. I asked myself, who are you to produce this podcast? You're not a life coach. You're not even a therapist. You have no credential that says that you should be able to talk about these things. What I do have is something weighing heavy on my heart that I need to share with y'all. What I have is the burning desire to leave a legacy behind, that I had a thumbprint, that I made an impact on people. What I have is a burning desire to share the experiences that I've had in my life that I think are relatable to so many other humans. What I have is a lot of life experience. And when I tell you I've been through it, y'all, I have been through it. But this episode is not really about that. This episode are the things that hold us back from becoming the person that we're really supposed to be. So I ask you, your first question for thought is, who are you unencumbered? If you could be anybody you want to be, who would you be? What could you do? If you weren't afraid of what you thought or anyone else thought, if you had no limitations, who would you be? What could you do? What could you accomplish? I'll tell you, I don't know that I've ever truly felt really unencumbered, but I know when I was in my early 20s, I traveled a lot. I had just got my first teaching job. I was teaching Spanish at a local high school in Norfolk, Virginia. I wanted to go to Spain. My brother was in the Navy station in Spain at the time. I had a friend who was from Spain who had moved to the States and back to Spain. And I decided I'm going to go. And I bought myself a $250 ticket from DC to Madrid. I traveled all over Spain, all over Italy. I visited my brother. I truly felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing. But I was able to do that because I didn't have kids at home. I didn't have a husband. I had a job where I could take 2 weeks off to go travel around. And I will tell you what it gave me was a sense of self. It gave me the freedom to learn who I was. At 19 or 20 years old, I really truly wasn't sure who I was, what I enjoyed. I had never been outside of my little hometown. I didn't know much about the cultures that I had been studying in high school or in college. And I wanted to see some of the world for myself. What that trip did for me was it gave me a confidence that I don't know if I ever could have gotten any other way. I relied on myself to navigate foreign countries, languages that I didn't quite speak fluently. I took some Spanish in high school and college, my degree's in Spanish, but I wasn't fluent by any stretch of the imagination. I had never traveled by myself before. I didn't have a lot of money, but I made it happen. And it gave me a confidence that nobody could ever imagine, and it allowed me to view the world from a different lens. So what I want to do is encourage you in this episode to explore your own potential and get to a guide towards taking the first steps to living unrestrained, because that's really what unencumbered means. What restraints are holding you back right now? Some of those restraints are valid. They're money issues. They're time. They are obligations that you have with your kids. And I want you to know that I'm not telling you with a wave of a wand that all those things are going to disappear. But what I'm telling you is you are capable of becoming who it is that you're destined to be or who it is that you want to be. You are capable of accomplishing things that are on your mind and on your heart, regardless of those constraints that we live by. Some of the constraints are self-imposed. Some of the constraints are things, lies that we tell ourselves. So, let's get started. Living unencumbered doesn't require a complete life overhaul. It really starts with small, intentional actions that align with you and your true self. The hard part here is most of us don't even really know who our true selves are. We are influenced by the environment that we grew up in. We're influenced by those that are around us. And we typically like things that people of influence also like. One of the things that I think that you could start doing to truly take intentional action is to set some daily intentions about what it feels like to be unencumbered you. Imagine it. You must imagine what your life is going to look like in order for you to make any significant change. So I want you to set some daily intentions that are maybe a little easier. They don't have to be, I'm going to be a published author, I'm going to travel the world. They can simply say, I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to read a book. Whatever that could be for you. Today I will focus on finding joy in small moments. Or today I'm going to really try not to scream at my kids. But you set the intention every day for who it is that you want to be. And start out with just small little baby steps, working towards the direction of where you're trying to go. I also want you to challenge your comfort zones. I want you to talk about a time you stepped out of your comfort zone, or think about a time that you stepped out of your comfort zone and what happened. A lot of us deal with anxiety, the kind that's debilitating or keeps us from doing some of the things that we want to do. We overthink it. We worry, what if? We panic about the unknown. I don't even know where to park. I don't know if anyone will like me. I don't know what the building layout is like. I don't know if I'll ever get invited back. Will I say something stupid? Will people judge me? All of this stuff pops in our head when we get an idea or a thought. And you've got to learn to quiet that noise. You've got to learn how to tell yourself, all of that is worst case scenario, all the things that I'm worried about. But what would happen if I didn't listen to any of that? What kind of growth could I accomplish? If I were trying to acquire a new skill, like public speaking or writing or producing a podcast or whatever it is there something that you've always wanted to do, but you've avoided it? Like joining a class or a meetup group or, stepping out to learn something that you've never done before, right? Challenging your comfort zone is where you already know. That's where the growth occurs. The growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. So I want you to ask yourself, if there was no self-doubt, there was no boundaries, no budgetary concerns, no opinions of others or judgment, no fear of failure, no self-imposed constraints like you telling yourself lies or the anxiety that lies to you, no family obligations that would cause you to decide you're not worth it, no roadblocks, what would you do? Who would you be? Who could you become? I want to know what your innate desires and dreams are. What aspirations are buried under your daily obligations and your limiting beliefs. A lot of the coaching clients that I've talked to over the years, when I propose questions to them like, have you ever tried this? Or have you considered that? A lot of the pushback that I get is, oh, that's not for me. Or I tried it, it didn't work. Or like the limiting belief that they told themselves was that they couldn't. Well, what if you could? What if none of this existed? I also think we're afraid to dream sometimes because putting the dreams on paper and not taking action makes us feel like a failure. But we're all destined to dream about something bigger. We're all destined to believe that we can do something greater. But you've got to believe in yourself and have the confidence to know that if something is on your heart and something is in your dreams, that there is no one that can make that happen for you except for you. But you have all the skills and all the abilities that God has given you. And if you don't believe in God, the flying spaghetti monster or the higher power, whoever you are, I am a Christian. I do believe in God. But if you don't, that's okay. There's space for you here too. But you have got to believe that you're capable of doing anything as long as you are competent and you don't let anything stand in your way. There's not anything that you can't do. We live in a world where everything is available to you on the internet. You can learn how to do anything you want to. So a lack of education or skill set is no excuse. The only excuse you have is I just didn't do it. Not that I can't do it. I didn't do it. So I want to change that. I don't want there to be what ifs. I don't want there to be regrets that you have later in your life, questioning yourself, what could I have done? What could I have become? I want you to wake up every day and say, what do I want to do? What is in front of me? What did God put on my heart? What special skill or talent did He give me that somebody needs? And don't listen to yourself tell you that's not true. And don't listen to anyone else tell you that you're not capable of that. Because He has given you every skill set and every thought in your brain to do what it is that you want to do. So number one, I want you to dream. I want you to dream big. And don't put hesitations or limitations on those dreams. What do you want to do with this one life that you have been given? What is that going to look like? What limiting beliefs do you have that are holding you back? Do you think you're incapable? Do you think you're not smart enough? Do you think you don't have the money to make it happen? Do you think that everything will fall apart if you pivot from what your current responsibilities are? What roadblocks are standing in your way right now? Some of those are going to be legitimate and some are not. You're going to tell yourself all kinds of things that are not true. You're going to put roadblocks where they don't already exist. And our job is to look at those roadblocks together and decide which ones are permanently concreted in and which ones can we move. How can we sidestep those limiting beliefs? How can we sidestep the roadblocks that are in place in front of us? I'd also want you to think about the common fears and societal expectations that people have on you. Those expectations could be your friends, they could be your family, they could be your relatives, they could be coworkers. We all have expectations of us, and I think that we're starting to live in a world where those expectations, people get to do other things. You know, we live in a world where people can create a living by exploring their passions now. Instead of working for a boss for 40 years and getting fired after dedicating 40 long years to a company, you know, you get fired or let go with no explanation and no benefits and no pension. And I think we're sick of it. So people are become more entrepreneurial. They become more open to the idea of pursuing their passions and deciding what it is that they are their gifts and what do they have to share with the world. And so I'm going to ask you, if there were no expectations on you from anyone, who would you be? How would the world see you? What dreams would you pursue? What hobbies would you dive into? What activities would you engage in if you didn't care at all about what anyone thought? The next thing I want you to do is to reframe your failure as growth. I am an entrepreneur. I've started a lot of businesses in my career, my lifetime. Fear of failure is the number one reason people don't put themselves out on a limb and try new things. The number one reason that they don't take action is because they're deathly afraid that they might take action, publicize it, and get everyone excited, and then fall flat on their face. But I'm here to tell you, and as you already know, failure is a part of growth. What do you learn in the failures? And when your anxiety starts creeping in and that negative self-talk that tells you can't do something, I want you to start thinking about, well, what's the worst that could happen if that happens? So when I'm thinking about producing this podcast and I think, God, if no one listens, I will have devoted all of this time and this money and equipment and energy in creating something for no one. There's still so much power in the effort that I took to do this. Even if that is for myself, there's growth that is going to happen from there. So I want you to reframe your thoughts about failure. What does it look like to fail? Let's say you're a baker and you've always wanted to own a bakery. You've always wanted to bake artisanal breads and sell them. If you decided to do that, and let's say no one bought your bread, which in this world, I don't even know how that's possible because everybody loves artisanal bread. But let's say you never made a single sale, but you made a lot of bread. I'm pretty sure that the outcome is that you're a better baker. And I digress with this example, but my point is, I want you to reframe what failure looks like to you. And I want you to ask yourself, if I were to fail at this, what's the worst that could happen? What lessons could you learn from that failure? But I want you to see that failure can lead to people daring. You are daring to dream. How dare you dream of what you want to do with this life? How dare you think about your life being different? I want you to dare to dream. I want you to dare to take action, even if you might fail. Because in the failure is so much success. The fact that you gave it a try, the fact that you honed your skill, the fact that you learned how to be a better marketer, you learned how to present yourself, you learned how to acquire a new skill. There are lessons in every attempt at making something happen, and it's not all failure. It's not all bad. So I want you to remove and reframe the thoughts that failure is not growth. It is growth. And I want you to dare to dream. So let's look at it as growth and as a necessary part of growth and discovery. It's also a part of development. Think about young babies when they first start learning to walk and talk. They start taking a couple steps and they fall down. They don't say, oh, I fell down, I'm never going to walk again. They get back up and fall back down. And they crawl a couple steps and stand up and they hold on to something. You are the same exact way. Just because you fell down does not mean you're down forever. And it doesn't mean you'll never walk again. It means you might actually learn something along the way and decide a different way to do it. But I want you to actually understand that it's part of your development as a human. It's part of your development in your career. That failure is always going to produce lessons. The other part about failure is that it actually leads to confidence. Because once you have done something and attempted it, you at least have a story to tell about your experience that is going to provide you with confidence. Now you know what works. You know what doesn't work. But it doesn't mean you quit. It means you regroup, you pivot. And it's also going to give you confidence to know what not to do next time or how to do things differently. But the confidence is something that you desperately need. So, number 4 is daring to dream big. We talked about this. What were you made to do? If you allowed yourself to pursue any dream, no matter how big or small or unrealistic that some people might say it could be, what would it be? Why do we hesitate to dream big? And how can we overcome that hesitation? I think we hesitate to dream big because we are afraid that if we don't accomplish it, it's another failure in our book. We're also afraid that if I dream something bigger than what I have now and I don't make it happen, I'm a loser. I think we're afraid to dream big because dreaming bigger means acknowledging that we're not happy where we are. And that can be scary for some people, to admit that out loud, that you dream of something bigger. I'm giving you permission right here and now to dream as big as you can. Visualize what you could be, what you could do. Now, y'all, one thing I want you to know is I'm not expecting this to be life-changing to where you're going to quit your job and start a business and become a multimillionaire. These things can be as little or as big as you need them to be. But I am here to give you permission to dream as big as you can. What skill set did God give you? What do you have on your heart that hasn't been realized? Dream it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What comes out of that? What is the legacy you could leave behind? How does it impact your family's future? And then I would ask you to ask yourself, what happens if you don't accomplish it? What kind of change could you make that you didn't make? How does it change the trajectory of your life by simply dreaming of what could be? So I'm giving you permission to dream no matter how big, no matter how unrealistic, no matter what people think, no matter what people say. And how do you overcome that hesitation? It's yours. It belongs to you. No one can take it away from you. It is your dream. Whether you write that down in a notebook or a journal or a voice memo in your phone, I don't care. But dream it and put it somewhere because it is for you and you alone. And if you choose you don't want to share it with somebody, that's okay. But my encouragement to you would be to share that dream with someone. I want to talk a little bit about roles and expectations because we all fill all kinds of roles in our life. Some of those are the role of a daughter. Some are as a parent. Some of us are children. Obviously, we're all children of someone. But you might be someone's partner or someone's boss, someone's employee. Half of these roles sometimes overshadow our personal identity. Sometimes we take our role as a spouse so seriously that we don't allow ourselves independence or freedom to become who it is we're supposed to become. So I want to ask you to define the roles in your life. Who are you? And then I want you to prioritize those roles as to which roles are the most important. Because some of your roles are going to be limiting factors for you. Some of your roles are going to cause you to not take action. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what your role is, a caregiver, a daughter, a mother, a boss, an employee, you have a responsibility to yourself and for your own self-growth to explore those dreams regardless of those roles. Some other people might have to step up in a role to help you achieve your dream. You may have to offset some responsibilities in your house or your job or whatever to someone else so that you can achieve them. But there are solutions in place for how you can become the person you're supposed to become, regardless of the role in your life. So I don't want your role as a mother or a caretaker or an employee to hinder you from becoming who it is that you're supposed to be. I want you to understand that your personal identity and who you are is independent of the role you fill. You are a daughter, but you are also a dreamer. You are a son who is a caregiver, but you're also the head of a family. You might be someone's son, someone's boss, someone's uncle. There's a lot of responsibility in the roles that we fill, but your identity and who you are as a person does not get to take a back seat to your roles and responsibilities or your dreams. How can you explore a fuller version of yourself outside of these roles? So what that means is, how can you determine who you are outside of the roles and responsibilities that you have? For me, I think it's crucial for you to carve out solo time for yourself. I know that's hard when you're raising young kids or if you're a single parent, but you need time to recharge your batteries. You need time to reflect. You need solo time to rediscover who you are. Some of those solo activities could be hiking or going for a walk or a creative project or arts and crafts or reading a book that's on the topic of what you want to learn more about. But you've got to carve out time for yourself to explore, to figure out who you are, and take action on the dreams that you have. You will always have obligations to other people. You will always be needed by those in your life. You have got to take care of yourself because you owe it to yourself to fulfill the dreams that are on your heart and mind. You owe it to yourself to explore what you can do with these dreams. I do want you to dedicate just one afternoon a week to a solo experience that brings you joy or peace. It doesn't have to be for an hour. It doesn't have to be for 2 hours. It can be 20 minutes. You can set a timer on your phone or the stove or the microwave or whatever it is, but carve out some solo time for you to explore this, for you to dream big, for you to develop an action plan of how you're going to make it happen. But you've got to be kind to yourself and give yourself the time to explore what's on your heart and on your mind. So for some of you that are, really held back or encumbered by family relationships or your own self-doubt or whatever that is, some of the smaller actions that you can take to becoming more unencumbered are going to be carving out solo time and saying no sometimes to things that you usually say yes to. The question I'm going to ask you is, what's one thing you can say no to that doesn't serve you? And I think Rachel Hollis back in the day said when she was evaluating her calendar that she would look at the items that people were inviting her to, and she had it's a hell yes or it's a no policy. And I would encourage you to do the same. We are so overscheduled and so busy in our lives, saying yes to everything. I know friends that literally have something going on 6 days a week, maybe 7. And I don't think you give yourself enough time to recharge your batteries, to be alone with your thoughts, to discover what it is that you should be doing, to have time to reflect on your actions, and you need that. And so in order for you to carve out solo time, you might have to say no to some things that don't serve you. So I would get you to say to yourself, is it a hell yes or is it a no? Because if it's just I don't mind either way, that means it's a no. Get better at trying to say no to things that don't serve you. I want you to take some small actions like trying new experiences. Do you want to learn how to crochet? Do you want to join a meetup group for other people who own pit bulls? Do you want to start learning how to cook? What is it that you want to do? Maybe you just want to be more confident, right? What are the small actions that you can do on a daily basis that get you closer to being the person that you want to be? The example, again, if I'm challenging comfort zones, maybe I go take a dance class or an exercise class, or I learn from the comfort of my own home on YouTube how to crochet. But I got to take the time for myself to do that. And that is a small action step that could help me live a life unencumbered by whatever the restrictions are that keep us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. Doing something challenging or challenging your comfort zone means doing something that scares you, because that's where the growth occurs. Something that scares you makes you think that you can't do it. And I want you to challenge yourself. Try one thing that scares you or gives you heart palpitations, or makes you nervous, makes your anxiety, your hands sweat, right? I want you to figure out for yourself what are some small actions that I can take daily that are going to get me closer to my goal, closer to achieving the dreams that I had for myself. What things can I say no to that don't serve me? Then I want you to surround yourself with the right people. If you're already in this community, you're already taking that first step. But I also want you to protect your dreams. You don't let anybody poo-poo on your dream. If you share this dream with someone and it's not met with a cheer, with a kudos to you, with some type of phrase that is supportive, you've got to surround yourself with new people. There are always going to be people in your life that tell you can't. There are always going to be people in your life that give you their opinions. And you know what I say? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. I just want you to know that your opinion is the one that matters. Only yours. Unless yours is negative, and then your opinion doesn't count either. But I want you to surround yourself with the right people. There is power in a community and relationships that support you and support your dreams rather than stifling them. It's like when you're having a baby and someone says, "Oh, what are you going to name them?" And you have thought long and hard about this baby's name. Naming a child is a great responsibility. You have to pick a name that they won't get made fun of when they're younger, but is actually strong and something that's going to get them a job in the future. And it's hard to pick a name where it flows with your last name, and you got to pick a middle name. And naming a kid is a big responsibility. But people will ask you, what are you naming your baby? And I promise you, if you ever want to ruin the name that you have picked out, share it with people and then care what they think about it. If you want to protect that name, you don't tell anybody that name until that baby's born, because no one's going to look at your baby and say, what a stupid name you have. Once you've decided and that baby's here, people will cheer it on. But if you tell them before the baby's born, they try to influence you. They try to tell you that that name is stupid, or that they had a boyfriend thing that, and that he was awful, or whatever. And it taints the feelings that you had about that name. And your dreams are the exact same way. If you're going to pick someone to share your dreams with, you're going to pick someone that you have decided to become vulnerable with, and you've put it on your heart that you're going to do this, and you share that with someone and they do anything less than cheer you on, find a new circle of people to share your dreams with. You've got to surround yourself with cheerleaders, with people who tell you there's nothing to get in your way, and people who are uplifting and like-minded, provide you with courage and encouragement and support and guidance, people that will mentor you. You can find a mentor anywhere if you're looking for the right kind of people. But if you surround yourself with people who are doing nothing with their lives but criticizing you, you are never going to achieve what you have set out to do. So I want you to surround yourself with the right people who are the biggest cheerleaders in your life. And those are the people you share your dreams with. Those are the people that you ask for advice from. Those are the people that you actually share your little action steps with and tell them, every day I'm going to start working on ... Because those are the people who are going to keep you going, that are going to motivate you and inspire you to do what it is that you're supposed to be doing. But stop wasting your time, your energy, and your tears on people who are not your biggest cheerleaders. Find your crew It is there to lift you up. And if there's no one in your personal life, professionally, there's thousands of people out there that will be your mentor, that will encourage you, that will lift you up, that will motivate you to keep going. But surround yourself with the right people. Number 8 is, how do you define success? I want you to define success on your terms. I want you to challenge traditional notions of success. We typically think of success as money or status or security. That means success to a lot of people. But I want you to understand that success comes from lots of different ways and looks different to a lot of different people. For me, success is fulfillment, feeling good. It is having the freedom to do things that I want to do, having the money to do things that I want to do. It's being happy. It's not dragging myself out of bed every day, kicking myself, why do I have to go to this job, or putting up with people that I don't like. That's not happiness to me. And pride. For me, I am successful if I am proud of myself. I am proud of what I built. I'm proud of the effort that it took. But I want you to have pride yourself. To me, that is successful. You built it, you dreamed it, and you did it. That is also the definition of success. I have a friend, and I won't mention her name because I know she's going to listen to this first episode. She is one of my biggest cheerleaders. She is an amazing, incredible woman. But she loves to be so hard on herself. She constantly lives in a state of comparison. Well, they sold more than I did. They're doing more than I did. I don't compare to them. I'll never get that listing because they're so much of a better agent than I am. And I want to tell you that this agent, every client that's ever worked with her has said incredible, amazing things about her. She is patient. She is kind. She is smart. She is thorough. And she does an incredible job. But to her, it's never good enough. If she made $80,000 one year and only made 30 the next year or 50 the next year, she's mad. And she is beating herself up. And I'm here to tell you that you got to celebrate the small wins in your life. You got to celebrate the growth that you've had. The year she made $80,000, she learned so much more. She had some difficult transactions. She had some difficult clients. She dealt with some scenarios for the first time in her career that she never had before, and she learned how to navigate them. That is a small win and a big win. But instead of celebrating those wins and being proud of herself, she told herself she wasn't good enough. She told herself that all of the effort that she made to make that $80,000 was not enough because it wasn't $120,000. Imagine working that hard only to tell yourself you're still not good enough. How does that motivate you and inspire you? How does that make you want to try harder? It doesn't. It makes you depressed. It makes you sad. It makes you start thinking about what other people are doing. That's not your race. That's not your dream. I'm challenging you to redefine success. What does success look like to you? And I'm challenging you to have some pride in what you've done and how far you've come, in celebrating the big wins and the small wins daily. To stop comparing yourself to others and the race that they're running. We look on social media and we see these beautiful pictures of these perfect lives, these moms that have it all, these people that can accomplish a whole cleaning schedule in one day for their whole house and go to work and make money and keep their kids clothed and fed and clean and their perfect little angel. That's not reality. No one is like that. No one truly lives like that. But we see that, we aspire to be that, and then we beat ourselves up when we're incapable of creating that in our lives. And it's because you've set yourself up for failure because you've defined success by looking at someone else's reflection. What does success look like to you? And what small things are you going to celebrate along the way that tell you, I am successful? I did the things I set out to do, And that is going to happen by taking small actionable steps that you recognize and you reflect on and be positive about. There are enough people in this world to be an asshole to you. You do not have to be an asshole to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself in a way that encourages you and motivates you, that does not stop you in your tracks and make you feel like, why should I keep doing this? So I want you to redefine what success looks like. I want you to have pride in the fact that you dreamed it, you built it, and you did it. Number 9 is leaving a legacy of authenticity. And I want to speak to this one a little bit because I lived a lot of my life being inauthentic. I lived a lot of my life hiding who I was from my family, from my friends, from my coworkers, because I was afraid. And I want to ask you, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What thumbprint do you want to have on this industry that you're so passionate about? What mark do you want to leave on other people? What impact and influence are you going to have over them? And I want to ask you, if you lived your life without constraints, how would that change the impact you have on others? What more could you accomplish if you allowed yourself to do the things that are on your heart and mind with no negative self-talk, no what-ifs, no doubts, no fears, no insecurities, no boundaries? Who could you become? What could you do? What kind of influence could you have on people? And then what legacy would you build? When you are long gone and people talk about you, what did they say you accomplished? What did they say you were good at? What did they remember about you? And then your job is to take action steps every day to become that person that you want to become. It's not going to be easy. It is definitely going to be a challenge. It is definitely going to be hard work because you're going to say no. You're going to reach obstacles. You're going to have days where the world is stacked against you. You're going to run into roadblocks along the way. But what I don't want is you to get in your own way. Life is going to come at us hard and fast. We're going to have to pivot. We're going to be traveling 100 miles an hour in the right direction towards our goals, towards our dreams, towards our burning desires. And we're going to get hit in the face by a hurricane or a catastrophic event or even just a bad day, a bad attitude, bad feedback, whatever it is. But you cannot stop moving forward. You can feel those feelings. You can be sad that something got in your way. But I want you to understand that these are simply roadblocks, and they're not always going to be this way. You know, like they say in the movie Finding Nemo, you just got to keep swimming. Just keep swimming. So how do we get started today? So the first thing that I want you to do is whatever it may be for you, whatever that dream is, whatever that unencumbered life looks like to you, I want you to start incorporating small, practical ways to start living closer to your dreams. Some of those small, practical ways might be just setting daily intentions. Some of those intentions might be living more creatively. You know, maybe I need to make time for a creative outlet. I might need to make time to sketch or journal or experimenting with a new recipe. You know, I've got to challenge my comfort zones and I've got to decide what are those small actions that I'm going to take every single day to get me closer to where I want to be. What does that look like? I also want you just to dare to dream, take a small risk, do something that scares you, and set aside some time for self-reflection. What did this feel like? Was I proud of myself for doing something I didn't think I could do? Was I scared still? Did I put in 100% of my effort or only 25% because I was really scared it would backfire? Did I share with anybody what's on my heart? Did I find some trusted people in my life that I feel safe telling them what's weighing on me, what I want to do? I'm asking you to challenge your comfort zone, to surround yourself with people that are there to encourage you, to dream as big as you can, to kick those limiting beliefs to the curb, to actually reframe how you think about failure and define success for yourself. I want you to prioritize the roles and expectations that you have in your life currently and think of ways that you can redirect those roles of responsibilities or incorporate them or reassign some of the responsibilities. Or does that role take a back seat to what you've got ahead? I definitely want you to surround yourself with the right people. And I want you to dream about what leaving a lasting legacy is going to look like for you. In what ways did you influence or impact the world? I speak globally, like your dreams are so big that they're going to impact millions of people. But truthfully, your dream can be a little smaller. It can say, I just want to learn how to parent my kids without screaming and yelling at them, right? Or I want to change the future of my family. And I really want to work on the legacy that our family leaves behind, right? Maybe I need to learn how to better manage my finances or my anger, or deal with some of the trauma that has been plaguing me my whole life. But what action steps do you need to take to become the person that you're destined to be? I am really, really grateful that you showed up today for today's episode. Next week, we're going to talk about giving yourself the love that you deserve. I know a lot of people in my life that really struggle with self-love. And so we're going to talk about giving yourself the love that you deserve and maybe the love you never had. But I would encourage you to come back every week. And I really am so grateful that you're here. And I hope that you might share it with someone else that you think might need it. Until next week, y'all, go out there and be kind to yourself, take some action, and dream big.